Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me here. If you're in a position where it's safe and you're able, you want to follow along, we will be in the fifth chapter of the book of James today. James chapter 5 and verse 10. And James is going to talk about a subject here that is difficult for most of us. Verse 10, he says, "Take, my brethren, the prophets who have spoken in the name of the Lord for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience." I don't know about you, but I don't know which of those is harder to deal with, affliction or patience. But James says we are to use the prophets as an example, that they suffered affliction for what they preached. They suffered affliction for what they believed, and uses these prophets as an example of suffering, affliction, and patience. Again, they endured much for standing up and preaching and teaching the Word of God, sharing the message that God had laid on their hearts. Lost many things, lost many friends, lost family, imprisoned, suffered in many various ways, but they patiently continued to trust God and to wait on God. And we're going to see as we continue tomorrow, we'll see he gives us another example specifically. Go ahead and get a little bit ahead of myself. He points to Job. And talks about Job's affliction and his endurance, and like I said, throughout time, many of them unknown, more of them unknown than are known, have suffered, but they don't turn away from God. They don't quit serving God. They don't quit teaching. They don't quit preaching. They don't quit proclaiming the message that God has laid on their heart. They patiently wait, they patiently endure, and ultimately they are conquerors. We look at the Old Testament prophets, and I know many people don't like to go back, and it's hard sometimes. Some of the Old Testament prophets, the major and minor prophets of the Old Testament, sometimes can be some difficult reading, but it's good to look at those and to read those and see what those prophets went through as they endured again the trials, the temptations, the suffering of life. But they stood strong, they stayed true, and continued to serve God, even in prison, threat of death. They didn't mumble, they didn't complain. They just continued to serve God and proclaim salvation. Proclaim the message. And man, is that needed in our society today. We need men and women who, regardless of the pushback, regardless of how the world receives our message, regardless of the affliction, to use James's word, that we patiently wait on God, we continue to serve Him, continue to tell the good news of Jesus Christ, even to a world that many times rejects that message and rejects us. Think about that today. You might face rejection. You might face some affliction today yourself for standing up for the good news of Jesus Christ. But remember those prophets, James says, who were examples of enduring affliction and continuing to patiently wait on God, serve God, and share the message that He had given them. You have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.